In the meantime, Brother Jeff Fard is with us, a.k.a. Brother Jeff, writer, historian, and community organizer, anti-gun activist. BrotherJeff.com is website. Brother Jeff, welcome to the program.
Tom, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Tell us about yourself and the work that you're doing there in the Denver area.
Well, around 95, I created a cultural center. It's called Brother Jeff's Cultural Center, and it's in Northeast Denver, 5 Points. And it was in direct response to a lot of gangs, drugs, and violence that was happening in the community. And we had saw a lot of gun violence, a lot of youth violence, and we created an organization and an institution to address that through education, early childhood education, employment, and et cetera. So we've been involved with this issue of gun violence for quite some time.
What are your thoughts on what happened last night?
Well, you know, I also have a community newspaper. It's called the 5 Points News, and the tragedy is that Colorado and this area has been going through a lot recently. We've just gone through the killing of a police officer at a jazz festival, and then I woke up at around 5 this morning to hear that, you know, individuals that just showed up to the movie theater anticipating a show were faced with a massacre. So I was in disbelief, and it's kind of like the wind, the sails come out from beneath you, and then you just start hearing from everyone calling, and they're seeing if their loved ones are all right. And, you know, our state right now is in a state of disbelief, and I just cannot say enough to the families in terms of condolences, and, you know, a lot of prayers are going out right now, Tom.
Jeff Fard, Brother Jeff, do you have any sense about whether this finally, I mean, Columbine happened in Colorado, now this. Colorado is a state that historically has not been, or at least the majority of Coloradans have not been fans of things like the assault weapon ban. Do you think that there might be some state legislation that comes out of this?
Well, I think, you know, there's something about our structure that seems to bring this stuff to the forefront and make us take a good, hard look at it. Columbine is a perfect example. It put youth violence and guns at the forefront, took it to the congressional level. And let me tell you, Tom, I woke up at, like I said, 5 in the morning. The place where the theater was only about 10 minutes away from my home. So I went over there to see what was going on and saw all of the police and everything being blocked off. But I also went over to the Gateway High School, which was the staging area for those people who were looking for loved ones, because it was just total chaos, people trying to find missing loved ones. And, you know, I can only imagine the despair that was happening in the theater, because if you could listen to the sounds that were coming out of the school, the horror, the trauma, you know, the tears, the shouting, the total despair, it was a scene that I don't even think that the movie that they were going to see could have rivaled.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think that there will be, is there an appropriate legal response to this?
Well, you know, right now our city and our state is going through that process. It's kind of like disbelief, and then they're going to move into what needs to happen next. I believe that there's going to be a larger national discussion. As you know, the president will be coming back to town. People are going to be wrestling with why did this happen, and they're going to look at the profile of this, the one that was arrested, and they're going to say, well, you know what, educated, PhD seeking individual, could have been any one of us, and so now we can't just limit it to some crazed fringe group. We have to take a deeper look at what's happening around guns, these laws, this access. They're going to start talking about where he got the guns, were they legal, where he got the bulletproof vests, all of this stuff that is so readily accessible. People are going to say, wow, why is this so readily accessible, and what's the need for bulletproof vests, what's the need for, you know, assault weapons, etc. And I believe it's going to bring this discussion right to the forefront once again, and it's going to be handled eventually, or it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah, well, I can tell you where he got the guns. He bought them at the Bass Pro Shop and Gander Mountain Guns legally, and one of them, the AR-15, apparently had a high-capacity clip, which would have been banned by the 1994 legislation, which expired in 2004 and was not renewed by the Bush administration. This, to me, I would think that if nothing else, this is an opportunity for people to say, okay, enough already. You know, we get it that people want to have a handgun to protect themselves, in their home or to carry in their purse or in their car or something like that. But who needs an AR-15 with a 25 clip, round clip?
And that's the tragedy. That's what we want to bring to the forefront and say, you know what, of course, protect yourself. But if you could listen to the commentary that's happening, and everyone's response or many responses are, I'm going to get my concealed carry permit, I'm going to rearm myself, I'm going to get more and bigger guns, I'm going to make sure that I'm safe when I go to the gas station, I'm going to make sure that I'm safe when I go to the movie theater. I don't know if more and more guns is the response. I think we need to look at a deeper systemic approach to why is this type of behavior seeming to continue to bring itself to the forefront.
And, there's an enormous amount of evidence that unequal societies where the rich are richer, the poor are poorer, and the middle class gets smaller, which the United States, Singapore, and the UK are the most unequal societies on Earth right now, or at least among the major developed countries, have much higher rates of this exact kind of thing. We have 20 mass murders a year on average in the United States. And countries that are more equal, that Canada, Holland, Finland. I mean, even there was a horrible one in Norway, but it's like the only one in like 50 years. I mean, they're very, very rare in countries that have less equality. Do you see other societal factors in addition to that we should be addressing? Jeff?
Well, you know what? I mean, it would have been easier for me to kind of wrap my mind around it if it was the common so-called urban, was this stereotypical missing man in the house and all of these different things. But when you talk about these type of situations that everybody's coming in with a gas mask and, firing and throwing out smoke bombs and doing all of the things that you would see in some kind of an action movie or something that is so far beyond what anybody can imagine, I don't even know how to wrap my mind around this.
Yeah. This is essentially a military assault, and I find it incredible. The guys on the right, they're all going, well, this just proves if everybody in the theater had a gun, everything would have been fine. Yeah, bullets flying all over the place. But not only would they have to have a gun, they would have had to have a gas mask, because the guy threw these tear gas canisters in and waited for them to explode before he started shooting, and so nobody could even see what was going on. Maybe he did that thinking that somebody in the theater had a gun. And so bottom line is, if you want to extend that NRA logic, everybody, from now on, when you go out, don't just pack your gun, wear a gas mask, carry your night vision goggles, and wear a flak jacket. That's the new America. This is insane. Brother Jeff, thanks for being with us. BrotherJeff.com, the website. I appreciate you dropping by.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, sir.